Borussia Dortmund have set Erling Haaland's transfer fee for this summer, Shaka, at 180 million euros. Here to help us put that in perspective, we've got Stewart Robson, Hutchison, and Darke. Ian, I'll start with you. It's a big number. What kind of message do you think Dortmund are sending here? Not just to clubs that might be interested in Haaland, but to the player himself.
Well, I think it's shades of the Jadon Sancho story from last summer when Manchester United thought they were going to get their man and Borussia Dortmund kept holding out for the figure that they wanted. I think they're sending out a message again here that they don't really want to sell him unless somebody is going to break the bank. Well, interestingly, there might be a couple of clubs, even in this COVID crisis, who would break the bank. And two of them, I think, are in England, Chelsea and Manchester City, who could afford to do it. I mean, the kid is dynamite. He's rewriting the record books. He's a fantastic player. He could change the fortunes of almost any club that he signed for. So maybe somebody will think it's worth it. But at the moment, Borussia Dortmund are playing hardball, and you can understand that because his release clause doesn't kick in until 2022. So if anybody wants him this year, they're going to have to pay top dollar.
Yeah, Don, no reason to suggest that Borussia Dortmund won't stick to their guns here. We saw him do it last summer with Jadon Sancho.
Exactly that, and they've done it many times before. They are a stubborn football club, and they get what they want. They do play hardball. Probably one of the best negotiators out there in European football. And you're right, Jadon Sancho is a great comparison. United was so close to getting him, and I think in the end there was in and around sort of 10 million euros difference. And you thought Man United, the size of football club they would just pay the 10 million and get the deal done, but they didn't. So now who's going to be in the race for Sancho in a pandemic? I'm sort of struggling to figure out who's going to splash that sort of cash. I think if someone's going to take Haaland for that amount of money, £180 million, I think they might have to be creative. You look at Chelsea, they've got a number of football players and a huge squad that they could try and trim, if you like, and offer players in part exchange. So I don't think anyone's going to go wallop, there's £180 million. I think if someone is going to take him, you will see a couple of swap deals and a lot of money exchanged because, as Ian said, the kid is just an absolute game changer.
Robbo, what about the players' perspective here? What do we think Erling Haaland will think of all this, especially considering Borussia Dortmund, no guarantee right now to even make Champions League next season?
He'll probably be disappointed that if they don't get the Champions League, it'll be a struggle for him to go. And £180 million, I don't think he will go. But I don't think it'll do him any harm. You know, Champions League isn't everything. He's a top-class player, brilliant player, and another season at Dortmund, just improving his game. And when he can go at £75 million, he can then have the pick of the clubs he wants to go to. Because I'm sure every club in Europe will want him. He's an outstanding player. As Darke said, he's devastating. He's one of the best strikers you're going to see for quite some while.
Shaka, you agree with Robbo? Haaland doesn't need Champions League right now to continue his development?
Not right now. Not at the age that he is, not what we've seen from him so far. One season without Champions League, I don't think dents anyone's interest in him in a year's time if that's the case. Come 2022, all the clubs that are being linked with Erling Haaland right now will be linked with him yet again, especially at that reduced price.
We saw the impact it had on Jadon Sancho when he got his head turned, didn't make the move to Manchester United. What do you suppose the impact would be on Haaland?
It's always difficult to say what something like this, a move like this falling through for somebody as young as Jadon Sancho was then, Erling Haaland is now, how it affects them. As we said, I have absolutely no reason to think that it affects Erling Haaland in the slightest way. We saw that in his arrival in German football to a lot of fanfare, despite interest from other clubs. He hit the ground running, continues to break records, and continues to keep everybody interested. Even if things don't work out for him this time around, well, if he doesn't move this year, I see no reason why he doesn't continue scoring goals just as he's done for Borussia Dortmund. And as I say, we have this discussion again in 12 months' time. Remember a few years ago, Lewandowski in leaving Borussia Dortmund, even with the link with Bayern Munich, his contract was running out. Dortmund played hardball. As a matter of fact, Dortmund actually offered and did pay him more in his final year, knowing that he's leaving on a free transfer. So they know what they're doing in terms of keeping players happy. They've been down this road many times before. I don't see why it's going to be any different.
Don, we know how much the Champions League means to Erling Haaland. We also seen the frustration last weekend as he stormed off the field. What kind of impact do you think it would have on Haaland to have to stay at Dortmund if they don't make the Champions League?
Yeah, it's a tricky one without knowing his character. I believe the people behind the scenes are not rushing him to the very top. I think they're taking strategic steps to try and ease him into different levels of football. I think it's imminent. It's a matter of time. It's inevitable before we see Erling Haaland at one of the major players in Europe, whether that's Barcelona, Real Madrid, United, someone of that ilk. But I think the people that look after him wouldn't actually mind him staying at Dortmund and learning his trade and, improving as a player, improving on his technical ability. When you watch him, he's a powerhouse. He's got little things to work on. There's not many flaws in his game, but he's going to get better with experience. So it wouldn't be the end of the world. I just look at him the way, I wouldn't say storming off the pitch, but he's not happy. It's almost like he's very close to becoming too big for Dortmund. He's scoring goals. The team's drawing games. They're not the Champions League. They were contending for the Bundesliga. They now fell away. I wonder if the player then gets a little bit... I wonder if he gets a little bit frustrated in where he wants to be at these personal challenges. Because if he does, and it is £180 million, that's an awful lot of money. And teams around Europe now will be looking at the very top-end strikers and they'll be thinking, right, can we get Kylian Mbappe, £180 million? That's going to be in and around the figure. That's going to be unlikely. Same as Haaland. There's other players like Lukaku and Harry Kane that, in my opinion, wouldn't cost £180 million. So the top-end managers across Europe will have all these Galactico strikers right across their table, analysing every single one and the transfer fees and the wages involved. And it's going to be a pretty hectic summer to see where they end up.
Ian, a year without Champions League football for Erling Haaland. Can you imagine it?
I can't really, actually. I think they're very wise words from the ex-professional footballers on our panel tonight. Yeah, in an ideal world, he would learn his trade for another year, but he is very, very special. I think he's got 10 goals in 6 matches in the Champions League this season. I think he and his agent will want him in the Champions League. I think they will get very impatient with Dortmund if they don't make it into that competition next season. And it'll be one of those transfer sagas we're going to read about all through the summer. I'd watch Chelsea in all this because Chelsea, I think, are the side who need to bridge a gap, aren't they, between themselves and Manchester City. And I think in Abramovich, they've got a guy who might just say, if this is what it takes, let's do it.
Robert, what do you think Haaland's reaction? Go ahead, Don.
Sorry, Seb. It wouldn't surprise me, like Ian said. That's why I mentioned Chelsea at the top of the show. It wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea then threw in someone like Timo Werner and said, well, there's 50 million off the 180 straight away without even thinking, without even trying.
Robbo, Haaland to Chelsea, is that the fit?
It could be the fit, but I think it'd be better at Manchester City because Manchester City, I think, need a centre forward now. Jesus, I don't think, has ever been quite up to it. Aguero's on his way out, I would imagine. And Haaland is that sort of strike. He's going to run in behind. His link-up play will be better. He can score goals in the air as well. He's a magnificent footballer. But I still don't think he has to go this year. And at the moment, nobody's actually come in for him. When Shaka was saying a move could break down, there is no move for him yet.
Shaka, what do you think? Yes or no? Will he be there next season?
I still think no. And between the two English clubs that we're talking about, Chelsea and Manchester City, I'm with Robbo in that I think it's a better fit for Manchester City, a greater need. My huge concern in all of this is what football clubs have had to endure for the last 12 months. And I think clubs are hurting a lot more than they are letting on with no fans in the stadium, that loss of revenue. How do you now justify spending 180 million on one player? Chelsea themselves, 2 years ago, transfer ban didn't spend anything. Last year, spent somewhere around 200 million on players. And all of a sudden, you're going to do that again on the one. I just don't see how the numbers add up, given the losses in revenue that every single club across Europe has had to endure.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week, subscribe to ESPN+.